Looking good. By default, everyone who's joining, you're on mute, so don't feel like it's an issue or anything. We just want you to kind of tune in, listen along, participate in the chat how you see fit based on the pitches and how they're going. But yeah, we'll kick things off right away, just so that we don't spend too much time on all the fluff at the beginning. But basically, just a little bit of a introduction to this whole thing and why we're doing it, why we're here, and I guess firstly why Johan's not here. He's had a bit of a personal emergency, so he's an apology, but he sends his best wishes to everyone who's pitching tonight, and obviously a big thanks to everyone who's come along as a judge and as audience member as well. This is the first time that we've done this, so it's a bit of an experiment. So obviously massive props to everyone who's put their hand up to pitch, because it can be a little bit daunting. And we actually got a fair bit of feedback from people that they didn't really love the roast terminology, that maybe it was a little bit harsh. So this is very, very much constructive feedback focused. This is not a roast of any one person. This is not a roast in the traditional comedic sense. This is about allowing very early stage founders pitch their ideas and get feedback from real accountants and bookkeepers, because at the end of the day, most pitches are targeted at investors, which help people raise money, which doesn't help you build a good business. Getting feedback from actual users is a really key way to actually understand whether or not you've got something that's got legs and that's worth chasing. So the earlier in the journey, the better it is to kind of get this kind of feedback. So it's all a bit of fun. Hopefully it's valuable for those pitching. And I thought I'd just give you guys all a little bit of an overview as to how it's going to go and how you participate and whatever else. So basically the format is as follows. We've got 5 people pitching. Each pitch kind of session has 10 to 15 minutes assigned. So we should be out of here just after an hour from now, a little bit more than that, depending on how long things go. The pitch will be 5 minutes or thereabouts. Then we've got about 5 minutes of Q&A and feedback from 7 or 8 judges that we've got joining us. So people who have been part of the Early Adopters Hub for a long time, who have participated in a lot of programs, and who kind of have a keen interest to provide that feedback. And so that's kind of a good opportunity for some questions for the person pitching to expand on their idea, and also for the accountants to provide some feedback on what they've just heard as part of the pitch, because all of these people are quite early stage or at different stages in that journey. And so more feedback or more questions might be relevant. We also want to hear from you guys in the audience. So anyone who's here, who's kind of sitting here, listening in, if you've got any thoughts or feedback, chuck it in the chat, because the people pitching, once they've finished their pitch, they'll obviously want to keep an eye on that and have a look at what you guys are saying. So if you've got any thoughts, feedback, questions yourself, things you want them to be thinking about, even just, anything positive you want to share or constructive you want to share, chuck it in. We'll try and download the chat at the end as well and share it with the founders too. The other thing going on behind the scenes will be the judges who are obviously asking the questions. They'll have their opportunity to vote at the end of each pitch. But for the audience, we will have a poll at the very end for you guys to pick your favorite of the whole. So we'll have 2 awards going out at the end, one for most promising idea, which is judge voted, and one for People's Choice Award, which is based on everyone here who's going to be voting in that poll. Other than that, that's pretty much it. It should be relatively simple and straightforward. And I think that's enough from my end. So I might just kind of introduce you guys quickly to our 5 people pitching, and then I'll hand it over to them to share their screen and actually go through and do the pitch. So first we have Kai, who's doing basically using natural language, or planning to use natural language to communicate with, allow you to communicate between your apps. We have James Grew, who's an Early Adopters Hub member. He's kind of put together a built for purpose PayProp and Xero integration. Melissa is solving the pain of managing client queries at scale. Electra is bridging the crypto gap between SMEs and accountants alike. And Erin is working on streamlining the creation of statutory accounts. So all very different products, all very different problems to be solved. So yeah, Kai, I might hand it over to you if you want to unmute yourself and you want to share your screen. Absolutely, go for it.
Certainly. Okay. So first things first, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Perfect. How do you want to do? Do you want to just get started?
Yeah, just jump in.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So I'm Kai, and I'll be talking about Nix, which is an online platform for bookkeepers to sort of connect their data across different applications, work with that data, and communicate the results of their analysis all through natural language. So before I jump into what Nix is, I'd like to speak a bit about the space that we're playing in. So it's pretty clear to everyone that automation is a massive trend, not least in bookkeeping and accounting, and the market has responded in kind. There have been tech companies popping up in this space every single year, and it's a really promising area. That being said, some of the solutions still fail to sort of hit the mark for users. So Gartner did some research on why people move away from their existing software in bookkeeping, accounting, and finance, and some of the key reasons include not working well with existing solutions, failing to provide the advertised benefits, and just not having good use cases. If I go into that in a bit more detail, I sort of split the landscape into two broad areas. So the first is around point solutions, which do one thing really well. And the second one is an all-in-one automation solutions that allows you to sort of automate end-to-end workflows. So on the point solution side, when you speak to users, you kind of hear that there's like a lack of value understood, like perceived by these applications. So for example, some people say, I just don't understand how this app fits in my day-to-day workflow. They actually find it harder because they have a separate place where they have information stored about their clients, or where clients have to interact with them. And people are also sort of complaining about their certain price increases as well. On the other hand, sort of all-in-one platforms such as Make or Zapier are simply quite complex. Even though they sort of are no-code and low-code solutions, they are it still requires a bit of work to build them and also to maintain them and fix them if something goes wrong. Additionally, once you get past some of the more basic workflows, you're essentially writing code yourself anyway. You have to write your own API sort of requests. And so Nix sort of goes in between the two and allows bookkeepers to integrate data across all their different applications and use natural language to complete their work from start to finish. And it works through three key steps. So the first is around importing and enriching data across multiple sites. So whether you use Xero or QuickBooks, whether you use Outlook or Gmail, and however you use the web, you'll be able to integrate data across these and have access to that data. The second part is then being able to manipulate that data, cut and slice it whichever way you need for your work, all through natural language. So you don't have to do as many sort of formulae, you don't have to write any code if that's sort of what you had to do previously. And the final piece, and I think the piece that sort of puts this all in as an end-to-end start to finish solution, is the ability to communicate your insights and your analysis to people in your tone of voice through your account. So I think as an example, say you had people who had overdue invoices, you'd then be able to ask Nix to draft emails to people who are overdue, asking them from your email account to sort of pay what they owe. And the ambition here is that, given that's in your tone of voice and in your from your account, it's more likely to get responses. And the final piece here on the right-hand side, which I think sort of takes this a level up, is the ability to replay these end-to-end workflows to sort of unlock automation for individuals. So that's a little bit about Nix. And I think some of the reasons it's very sort of different to existing solutions is the first is that it works where you work. So it's not a new place for data to be stored. It works with your existing data stores, whether you have documents stored on AskHub or you have information on Xero. It wants to use that data and work on those platforms through their APIs. The second is injecting natural language where it makes most sense, which is at the sort of human layer. I know there are a lot of places right now that are doing sort of complete AI solutions, but we want to do just where people actually could find value from it and where it's strongest at the moment. The third is around completing work start to finish. So I think it makes the most sense for people to get their work done completely, from getting information across different sources all the way to communicating insights to relevant stakeholders. And finally, sort of as I alluded to in the second point, this is a mixture of sort of human ingenuity and expertise and automated sort of flexibility or robustness from AI. So each workflow will be custom built based on expert insight or an expert input. So that's sort of a bit about Nix. I don't know how I'm doing for time. Okay, it seems to be doing okay for time. So just a quick piece about myself. is I'm not from the accounting space, I'm not from the bookkeeping space, but I have a close relationship. So my family's been in bookkeeping for 20 odd years. I've sort of seen, quite a lot of the pain points in firsthand. In terms of my personal background, I come much more from sort of a strategy and product development side. So I automated myself out of a job, one of my first jobs at King, and then I went on to sort of help larger companies build products across the world at McKinsey. Outside of work, I'm a really big fan of sort of building bots and automations. And yeah, I'm really excited to be in this space. And the last thing I want to sort of leave you with is a marketing campaign by a travel company called Expedia. Their campaigns talk about how people are made to live life in different places, and truly live life the way they want to. And I think that really resonates with me. That's sort of why I want to automate. Yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Kai. Appreciate it. I think we have some questions coming in from the judges, so feel free to unmute yourself and go for it.
Hi, Kai. It's Shannon here. Just a quick one on how you're going to integrate cross-platform. Is that more for pulling information out at a communication level, or are there plans to actually push information into the likes of Xero or QuickBooks?
So at the moment, the idea would be to sort of just ingest information. And the ambition is definitely to push information further on. But I think given that it's a new product, I want to sort of build that confidence with users first, that everything is sort of able to be created in a draft mode. So emails are sort of an easy one here because you can draft emails, you can draft messages. But the ambition is definitely to sort of update, for example, update sort of transactions, for example, on Xero. Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Kai. It's Ryan here. Just for clarity, you listed a lot of products early on there. Is the objective to potentially replace all of those or most of those in that space with one single interaction point for the bookkeepers? So
in terms of the products, like using Xero and QuickBooks, definitely not. I want people to keep using. I'm not going to be creating a massive all-in-one accounting solution or an emailing platform. It'll be sitting on top of those. In terms of sort of some of the point solutions, there could potentially be, if there's sort of user appetite for that, there's definitely an avenue to explore. So I want to build each of these workflows based on user feedback. So some people, for example, complain that Dex isn't really what it used to be. So that could potentially be an avenue to explore sort of automated data ingestion. But not looking to replace absolutely everything, definitely not. Work with them mostly.
Hey, Katja. Maybe I'm not pronouncing your name right, but hey, Katja-san. Yeah, I like you already because you're ex-PwC, and that always goes down well for me. But my question for you is, can you? I think a lot of people watching this are kind of like, what actually is it? And we see some of that going on in the chat. Like, what actually is this? Right? Can you bring it to life with a real life example of what a bookkeeper or an accountant will do, and what the product will do to either seamlessly move data, seamlessly respond to something, whatever it is, because there's a bit of ambiguity in the chat at the moment. So if you wouldn't mind just bringing it to life with an actual like flow of transactions and what it'll do.
Of course. So I have like it's one of the sort of first flows is around sort of chasing overdue invoices. So essentially as I mentioned, there's sort of three major steps to this. The first is getting overdue invoice data. So having access to your Xero account or to your specific tenant's Xero accounts and getting overdue invoice and sort of listing that out so that you have a view of what's the current status quo. And that's all started from like either clicking a button or typing naturally what you want to do. The next couple of steps are sort of on the left-hand side, manipulating that data however you'd like. So if, for example, you want to group it by the number of overdue invoices they have, or if you want to only respond to or chase people who have overdue amounts over a certain amount, you can again ask naturally to do that. And the final piece here is sort of the ability to, once you've done that, draft emails to people saying to the relevant context. So in this example, I said only follow up with people, like only follow up with City Limos and DISR, which is sort of some of the example companies in Xero. And it can draft emails on your account to send to them. So you can sort of see that you've taken the data, you manipulate that, and you would do all of that all through one way, rather than previously where people would sort of have to draft those emails individually or go through Xero's platform. And the idea is at scale and across different sort of workflows, this will be more efficient.
Cool. I think that's enough of the question side. So Kai, what were your questions to basically everyone here? So just as a bit of an explanation. So Kai, everyone pitching has a couple of questions there for the judges to answer, but also for everybody to chuck their responses in the, I suppose, in the chat too.
Yeah, so I mean, I have 3 questions here, but I think broadly they go into 2 categories. So the first is around you and your firm's appetite towards large language models, AI in general. I mean, I know there've been lots of announcements by, for example, Carbon and Pixie looking at creating sort of autonomous agents. So my first question is how are you guys looking at that? What is your read? Is there potential there? Are you is that something that excites people? Is that something that sort of people are cautious about? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
So, Kai, from my side, in a mid-tier firm that we're in, I would say there'd be a huge reluctance from our staff base to just through trust. They wouldn't trust it. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't kick off. I just think we need some specific examples rather than broad, as you've kind of run through, that prove a concept before this would gain traction in a mid-tier firm.
Got it.
Thanks, Ryan. Next question.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if anyone else wants to answer that question, but what the other question sort of broadly, like, what are some of the pitfalls I should be looking out for? I'm obviously I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant. I'm coming much more from the software side. So based on past experiences with other perhaps founders, what are some pitfalls I should be looking out for?
I think, hi, Alistair here again. I think some pitfalls that I think you should be looking out for are not going down the wrong rabbit holes. And what I mean by that is, I'm choosing it as an example because it's the example you use, but you talked about credit control. Yeah, of the 42,000 accounting firms in the country, however many there are, how many actually do that? And therefore, if you were to go, oh, this is our first use case that we're going to push out and try and get adoption, well, actually, it's very, very few accounting firms that is a pain point for them. Some of them sell as an additional service, but it's not really a pain point, right? So pain points are what you should be focusing on much more, and actually understanding from a broad range of accountants what is the biggest pain point in the day-to-day business in an accounting firm. And I think that's where we've seen other technology firms go wrong, where they've got maybe a good general thesis, but actually they go down the completely wrong angle and they burn a lot of cash and they burn a lot of bridges and it just never materializes. So I'd say really figure out and understand what the pain point processes that AI could solve, and don't choose one that is the most native to you, perhaps.
Yeah, that's really good insight. Thank you. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a follow-up, but what would you say are some of the biggest pain points now? I guess what am I missing out here?
Oh, I think you've had your money's worth from me. People get tired of my voice, so I'll pass it on to someone else to answer that one.
I was going to counter to Alistair's comment slightly in that I think you need to identify which area of the industry you're actually targeting. In that you've spoken about your mum's a bookkeeper. Are you looking at sole practitioner bookkeepers like myself, small firms that maybe don't have the ability to invest time and energy into this because we're doing it at the same time as practices? Or are you looking at bigger accounting firms like Alistair's, like Brian's, like some of the guys here? So I think that's the first thing, is to actually, what is your target audience? Where are you looking to assist with that? Because I think that will then help you narrow down some of those pain points, some of those issues, because I have very different issues to Alistair and Ryan. So I think that's your first thing, is are you trying to encompass the whole industry, or are you targeting a specific area of that industry?
Yeah, great point. Yeah, just to quickly answer that, I'm 100% looking sort of at bookkeepers and smaller firms, sort of to individual, like to sole practitioners or individual firm individuals. Yeah, that's specifically mostly who I've been reaching out to, speaking to.
I think something else to be aware of is the technical advancement of the profession. The people on today's call are quite technologically advanced in terms of their firms, but a lot of firms that aren't. I think, look, Laura's very very correct. And the different sides of the firm will work and deploy technology in different ways. So I think figure out what part of the accounting sector you are going to focus on is will be quite important for you.
Just last one for me. Obviously, you're looking to target the small. If you're looking to target the earlier firms, and I think smaller firms, then I think just need to be very clear about what problem you're trying to solve with this. Obviously, it has huge potential to sort of solve a number of problems, I think. Particularly kind of areas like open APIs, the AI side of things, RPA. These are kind of areas where small firms really want to like understand how they can be utilizing those things. And I think that's an area that potentially you could look at. This is kind of jargon for a lot of accountants, but they know that it's something they could get huge value from leveraging. So yeah, just being specific with the particular use cases that they could, from a pain point perspective, you could be solving.
Awesome.
Thanks,
guys. We'll wrap there, Kai, if that's all right. And
yeah.
James Grew, if you're happy to share screens and hit us with your pitch.
Right, unmute myself. Find the right screen. Cool. Can you see this?
See desktop
screen.
Jack, I can still see Kai as the person delivering the.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You know?
Still just a blank desktop.
Yeah.
Always good when tech works when you're pitching a tech product.
We did practice. I swear.
Jump in with the first question. Do you have slides?
Yeah, I do have slides. Right.
Cool little timer you got going there.
Yeah, that is good.
All right.
Give it another crack.
Let's try again. Let's go with that one. All right, can you see that now?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Hi, I'm James Grew. I'm in the Early Adopters Hub, but I also have some software things that I'm building in the background. So this is a very niche product that may or may not work for everybody. And it's definitely a product that's I don't think it's actually in Australia yet. They may be looking to it. It's basically PayProp. So just a bit of background, it's basically an integration between PayProp and other accounting software. So at the moment it's mainly Xero, but we're looking to roll it out to other places. So basically what PayProp is, it's client accounting, trust accounting, I think in Australia, basically mainly for real estate agents at the moment, where basically a tenant pays in £400, they take off their 10%, £40, pay that directly to the agents, pay the plumber £50 and pay the rest to the landlord. So it's all automated through that point of view. It's obviously a ring-fenced account, all managed automatically within the PayProp platform. Currently operates in the UK, South Africa, US and Canada at the moment. So that's kind of where they're based at the moment. So what the main problem is at the moment, there's one daily deposit into the account from PayProp into the main current account of the estate agent. And that's also includes their fees. So they basically take their fees at source. And also that could include like multiple income streams and from multiple months. So basically what I'm trying to do is to split out that data to make it more usable. A bit like if you can imagine A2X or Link My Books, it's kind of like the equivalent of that. So basically the solution is just trying to create detailed financial records in any accounting software from the information that's basically held within PayProp. So the main workflow here is you basically got PayProp, they would send a daily settlement into your bank account. That would obviously feed through into your Xero account. At the moment, the PayProp client account, because the client account wouldn't sit anywhere near PayProp. The only things that would sit in PayProp or your accounting software, whether that be QuickBooks Sage, is basically just your current account where your money lands. And then the bit of software that I've created called Padboss sits in between PayProp and Xero in this example, and it would basically create the accounting journals in Xero. So basically what it will do is split out the income into the different accounts and also the fees. So you've got a complete visibility of if you're earning this much money from inventories or this much money from, let only fees, etc. And then also what the pay prop fees are. It's only done on a cash accounting basis at the moment. I originally created this on low code, and I run this on low code and have done for sort of 3 years on spreadsheets using Zapier for over 90 accounts. But this is actually trying to create proper software to move that forward. It will basically automatically post the invoices daily into Xero, and you'd also get a detailed CSV attachment of the underlying data to make it HMRC compliant. So basically the market opportunity, it's pretty niche, but there are some bigger scopes going forward. So there's basically currently about 1,300 UK users using the platform. So these are UK estate agents, about 1,500 in South Africa, 200 US and 100 Canadian. But that's growing all the time, and they're really trying to push the US and Canada at the moment. So it's about 1,300 real estate agents that are currently using this in the UK. But what I think is really exciting is connected to those 3,000-ish real estate agents. There's about 150,000 landlords, I estimate. So with the likes of ITSA coming in potentially in the future, or I was very excited when it was coming in, especially for landlords, effectively creating that other integration to effectively convert landlord statements. So competitive advantages, currently got an exclusive agreement with PayProp to do all of their financial agreements the next 3 years. And I've basically been, for the last 3 years, been using the PayProp data set. So I've got a lot of experience with that and how it works. So if everybody's up for it, I can give you a quick demo of what I've built so far. So basically you've got the connections. Here, once it thinks about it. Laughing like a live demo. Still trying to sync. Anyway, so here basically you can see here that it's ready to send. You can then, I tried to sync all the latest data, and now it's gone AWOL. But basically you can sync the data here. You can preview the invoice, and then that data will then flow into Xero, looking something like, so this is basically the daily settlements that would be received. Nothing. Everything's going wrong today. So it would match up, and then let's see if we can open up this one. So it will basically split out your income and then also show the PayProp fees split out. And eventually there'll be a CSV file in here, and this will automatically go over every day. So on the roadmap, basically looking to roll it out South Africa, US, Canada next, bringing in accrual accounting rather than just cash accounting, QuickBooks as Sage integration, bringing in tracking categories, and then also in the future, the landlord integration. Cool. So any questions?
Go for it, judges. Can be questions or feedback.
Hi, James. Ryan here. I guess my first question would be, if I have a client, is it that this is only going to be relevant if they're on PayProp, or is there a reason that the client should be moving to a system, moving towards PayProp to integrate into Xero?
It will only work with PayProp as a system. So at the moment, because that's basically what I'm integrating it with, should they be moving to PayProp? I would say yes. I think it's a very good bit of software from client accounting. I don't have any, but I think it's a very good piece of software, and especially from an accounting automation point of view, it's not cheap. But from an automation point of view, it basically eliminates all of that very difficult client accounting management software, especially for smaller-ish agents. I think it makes a huge amount of sense before they, hire an in-house accountant. So yeah, it automates that whole process from an accounting point of view.
Any other questions? I know it's a relatively niche solution. Any other questions or feedback, guys?
No question to say, but James, I love the especially as the challenge you had at the beginning. I love the very clear, concise pitch, kind of focusing on what the market is, the market size, and give us a bit of demo there as well. So I like that and appreciate it. But we don't deal with those types of clients, but like the pitch nonetheless.
The other bit I'd say is feeding on from that, Alistair. I think James, this is incredible in terms of there's all scope for us to create products out of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So chapeau.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up.
Go on.
So no, just because my flag is the landlord statement ingestion piece is a huge problem for us. So a tool that can ingest those and get them into a finance system would be a huge win for us across clients. We have a lot of clients that want to use an agent, but obviously we'll need to comply with the records. So anything that can ingest those types of files and put them into a finance system is a big win.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of only putting in data once and once only, and the agent has already typed in that data already, and so it's just reusing that same data set. It's then just a mapping exercise to get it mapped over.
Hey James.
Go for it.
Just quickly, have you found it to be like pretty watertight? Does it still need like an accountant who's sort of clued up on the tech to be involved in the software, or how have you found it so far in terms of using?
Well, that kind of feeds on to my next question, but it's at the moment when I currently run this all on a Google Sheets and Zapier for 100 agents up and down the country, and I basically originally created it because this was an issue, and now it's rolled out. The goal of getting it properly coded is to make it more watertight and to take me out of the loop. So my hope is basically to take me as an individual out of doing the process and move that more onto the accountant or owner to make it more watertight. It turns out it's a lot more complicated to hard code something than soft code it or low code it, because you kind of know what you're. So yeah, the goal is, well, and it's one of my questions basically to understand whether you would trust it. The only complicated bit is around the mappings piece, about where people want things mapped to, and from a VAT point of view, and it's whether you would trust agents to basically be able to map them to the right places, or whether you think, who you think I should be getting to do the mappings, right? Accountants or agents.
Hi James, this is John. I guess that last sentence kind of leads me onto my question, which was, who's the target audience for this? Obviously PayProp users, but which users? Is it accountants that are helping those PayProp users? Is it the clients, the companies that are using it? And I guess that would lead your development path in terms of answering some of those questions that you just asked as well.
So at the moment, it's mainly users of PayProp, so basically the end user. Obviously, sometimes accountants feel threatened by what I'm doing, as in like they're taking their job, if that makes sense. But other times, hopefully they can see that their time is better spent not doing boring manual stuff, and I can give a lot more data. I guess what I say is a bit of both, but mainly the end user, the PayProp user, more because they don't necessarily have accountants that are doing it. But at the same time, any accountants that are doing it, or bookkeepers, I think would have huge value in by not doing it. A bit like why you'd use an A2X or a Link My Books for the same reasons, I guess.
Yeah, and can I just ask a quick follow-up then? So I mean, if I'm a PayProp user, are you expecting me that I then use your tool automatically off the back of that, or would I need to, like you just said, go to someone like A2X, so go into a marketplace and look for an integration that solves that problem?
No, you shouldn't need A2X at all. I basically am A2X, but for PayProp, rather than A2X is for Shopify or eBay.
Sorry, I guess what I'm saying is if I'm using PayProp and looking for an integration, will it be obvious that this is available? And do I have to subscribe to that separately, or is it part of the package?
So yes, it will be obvious. PayProp are actively marketing, because I've got a deal with them, but basically where it makes it beneficial. So they're actively marketing it for me to their user base, and it's slowly growing. And it is a separate bit of software, but it's basically all built by them, so I don't have to do any billing.
Cool. Given time, I might jump quickly, James. I know one of your questions already maybe got answered, so I don't know if you had another one.
Well, I guess one thing is I don't know if any agents have any other industries that use client accounting where you think that this kind of automated client accounting software with an integration back to Xero would be beneficial. I don't know the solicitor sort of world of where that could be of benefit from an automated, client accounting, trust accounts.
The other one would be around actors. Again, some of the agencies, I've dealt with it on the other side, but I know dealing with some of the agencies around actors and that kind of thing, they do a very similar trust accounting process.
Okay, so that's agents that are acting on behalf of actors that effectively take in money and then take their commission out.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know are they using software for that, or just a Xero with a client account? Or...
I haven't seen the other side of it.
Yeah.
So that's not something, but knowing that industry, it doesn't tend to be very well automated. So my guess would be no.
Yeah.
But James, a little bit left of field, but in Australia, we've got a similar problem where in the ag sector, where there's something called a recipient credited tax invoices. A single payment comes through, but it needs to be dissected into the different streams. There are ways to get the information out, but definitely not automated. But yeah, like I said, a little left of field, but could see a similar application in that sector.
Thanks.
Cool. Want to go to your last question?
Oh, I think the last question was around.
Cool.
So yeah.
All good. Awesome.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Thanks,
James. Really appreciate it. Good pitch. Over to you, Melissa, for yours. You're good sharing your screen, Melissa. Oh, we can't hear you at the moment. So there you go. Unmute now.
Hi, I am super excited to introduce something that I've created for transforming client engagement for accountants with my new business called the AskHub. So a little bit about me. I've been doing bookkeeping here in Australia for over 20 years, and I'm a Xero specialist, and I love automation. So listening to some automation pitches there was really exciting. I'm really, really passionate about small businesses here in Australia, and I don't mind a bit of whiskey on the side, thanks to my husband's love of whiskey. So to talk a little bit about how I came up with the concept of AskHub. So off the back of my bookkeeping business, I do a lot of Xero setup and Xero training, and I get these clients that come through the door and they're gung-ho in their business and they just want to get set up properly, do a couple of hours of training with me, and then off they go. And they're not interested in outsourcing their bookkeeping because they're at the very early stages of their business. So, cost is a factor. And also they probably just want to do it themselves anyway, just to sort of learn the ropes. And I just felt that there was a whole segment of the market that was really missing the ability to have some support around those early days of, learning Xero and learning how to run a business, and, where do you go to ask the questions? And usually the person that they go to is the accountant. So that's a problem trying to solve for all the accountants out there here in Australia. So you take the brunt of the questions from your clients. And I don't know what the situation is in the UK, but in Australia, everyone's really short-staffed. There's ads everywhere for accounting staff, and they're just, dying under the compliance load. So these types of queries that they're getting from their small business clients, although they want to help them, often they don't have time. And what I've got for you here on the screen is a screenshot from a Facebook group that I belong to. And it's basically a lady who is running the books for her husband. And the PS is, I'd email the accountant, but he's so busy, I'm not sure he'll reply. And that seems to be a real constant theme out there in small business, that, you know, accountants are great. They're just really bad at getting back to you. So I've designed the AskHub, obviously with small business people in mind, but I think it's got a real practical application for accounting firms. And I think what it can do is really enhance that reputation that you have with your small clients, because that was just one Facebook group that I shared. And a lot of them get in those groups and really bag out their accountants, and it's all around the lack of communication. So if I can provide a support system that's a lower cost to your firm than having an undergrad sitting there dedicated to answering these questions, we have made a commitment to answer the questions within 24 hours as they come in. I've got a bit of an automated process behind that. And I've been creating a library of answers. And obviously with my knowledge of bookkeeping over the last 20 years, we've got a really consistent library of answers that we can then, you know, go back to the clients with, because mostly the questions are very similar depending on their industry. So we kind of tried to have a look at who our competition is, given that there's nobody really operating in this space right now, because I feel like they're a bit of a forgotten part of the market. So obviously accountants are a competitor, because you do actually answer the questions in-house. You do pick up the phone and talk to the clients, and then half an hour of your life is gone and you really needed to do 5 tax returns. Facebook groups is the big one, because everyone gets onto Facebook to find the answer to something. And I feel like it's a bit of a pile on. There's different people in those groups. Obviously, there's other small business people with the same type of situation. So they'll jump in and try and answer the question with zero knowledge and very little background from the person that's posted. There'll be other bookkeepers fishing around in there like sharks in a shark tank, trying to get business and, you know, trying to sort of capture that person as maybe a client, which, you know, they just want free advice. And then obviously friends, people that are in business, they'll ask them questions. Again, they don't have the whole backstory. They usually will say, well, this is what I do in our business. And that could be totally wrong for that person that's asking the question. So I think we've tried to identify, without an actual competitor, who might be a competitor to what we're trying to provide. So basically the product is 2 parts. I've created an education portal through a web app, and basically that's just a whole lot of videos that I've created around basic bookkeeping and good bookkeeping methodology, and why do we do it. And yes, it's boring, and yes, it's a tedious task, but if you automate as much as possible, then it's going to be better for you. But I think really the most important feature of what we're providing is the ongoing support to people, and that ability for them to, when they get stuck on a particular problem in their Xero file, maybe they've purchased a motor vehicle and, and they've got a lease and they don't know what to do with it, they can shoot through that question and they'll get that answered, within 24 hours, or they can go to a part of the portal. So it's really about delivering that support at scale for people. So this is a brief overview of what the portal looks like.
Sorry, Melissa, we're just at time. If you could just wrap it up, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so target market, small boutique firms here in Australia. There's 30,000 of them. 45% of those firms are sole practitioners, or maybe they've got 1 or 2 hires. So they really need the support in this case. And we just want to be a partner to your client engagement. We don't want to take any work away, and that's basically it. Sorry, I didn't realize I was run over time. So thank you for listening, and apologies to the other pitches.
No, all good. Thanks, Melissa. I think there's a few questions. So Ali, did you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I think you just kind of answered it. So you would be contracting, or your client is the actual accounting and bookkeeping service. So you're not contracting with the client itself, you're actually contracting with the firm.
Yeah, the deal would be with the accounting firm, but it would be us looking after their client. So we'd kind of be sitting in the middle of the two, but servicing their client, but the accountant would have the contract with us.
Would you have access to their Xero file also? Or
No.
is this just generic questions? Because I'm just trying to understand a lot of the questions. Actually, you need to know the chart of accounts, you need to know the client. Yeah, there's some simple ones, but I mean, I've got automated templates that I use. So, or is it for those that really just so under resourced, they just can't even get to the email?
Yeah, look, I mean, from what I'm seeing out there, it's a real frustration from small business that it might just be a simple question like, I don't know what to do with the motor vehicle that I've just purchased. Like, how do I deal with this transaction? There's other transactions like, oops, my husband accidentally used his credit card for a personal expense. I don't know what to do with it. So I don't need to see inside their zero file to be able to answer the level of questions that I'm trying to help accounting firms avoid. If it's a more technical question, we're obviously going to push it back to the accountant and say, look, this isn't just a basic bookkeeping question. You actually need to get some tax advice around this that's, specific to your needs. The idea is not to be joined to everybody's zero file unless I really can't get to the nitty gritty of their question, if they cannot articulate what they're asking correctly. I think the later version of AskHub for me would be offering a straight up either zero setup and then subscription. So if there's a client that, has come to the accounting firm with a spreadsheet and you're like, God, we don't deal with that. Here, go away, get a zero setup done, and then come back, with it all going. And so we can definitely offer that, or do a zero health check. So it'd be going through the zero file and checking how it was originally set up before embarking on, that support program.
Melissa, just jumping on, I guess what Ali asked, just exploring a bit further on that. Firstly, is the product can we white label it so it look like ours, or is it completely separate?
It was going to be one of my questions, so thank you. So we don't mind. I haven't really sort of worked out how it's easy enough to take the logos and everything off. We have set up the CRM system to be able to tag it to a different accounting firm, because I need to be able to know where the clients are coming from. So in that respect, because I've got that back end working already, I think it would be a pretty easy thing to be able to white label it.
If no one else is
hey,
Melissa.
Sorry, Ryan, did you have another one?
I think I was probably going to ask the same thing as you, so jump on, Melissa.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Melissa, Alistair here from London, the UK. My kind of initial view on this is, where's the market on this, right? And so that's kind of my brutal honest kind of point of view at the moment. In the I'm not sure if this is artificial intelligence you're using, but it sounds like the questions aren't going to be answered specific to the company. They sound more generic. And we've got ChatGPT for that now, and we've had Google for 20 something years that answers that. And therefore, as we've said, as a few people kind of indicated, it becomes more relevant when it gets to an actual person that understands the business. So I think Ali's question was leading to, can you get data from zero, and therefore can you actually use AI and answer a specific question based on how a particular business, industry sector, how they're accounting for things, and actually give much more meaning and value there. So if it was a dragon, I'd say I'm out. We're not, but I want to be convinced where the value proposition is for this, because I don't personally see it. Certainly in our business in the UK, things may be different in Australia, but something that's generic, I don't see it being that valuable, if I'm perfectly honest.
So I'm just going to jump on and add a bit of context from my side. So we provide a software and accounting support service to clients, and they pay for this. The issue that I see is that from what you've just described, you're falling in a gap where you're not providing quite enough support because it's not tailored to a client. And we find that at that point, they don't want to interact at all. They'll just go and Google it. If there's something that we can direct them to, some basic insights that we can overlay, I could see some value in that. So you're either going to want to outsource a more enhanced service in full, or something that where your tool is supporting a team that's already doing this. That's how I view it.
Sure. To answer a couple of the points, so I have tried to get bookkeeping questions answered in ChatGPT, and it's certainly comes back with an answer. But the problem is the jargon that it comes back with, and that's what small business people really struggle with, is understanding what we're saying as accountants and bookkeepers and what language they use. So I don't think my target market that I have in mind that would utilize this service is going to go to ChatGPT for the answer. Again, with Google, it's fraught with 55 different pages that will come up for that answer. What I get from the client when they send in their question is I get an industry. So at least I know what industry they're coming from. They can upload a screenshot of the problem that they're having, so I can see, you know, what screen are they on. These people that are asking these questions and bogging down accounting firms, and, you know, even in my own bookkeeping practice, I get these questions. They're very much like user-based around the Xero software and, you know, like, how do I do this? And yes, there's a whole lot of YouTube videos. Xero's got heaps of training in Central. They just don't go there and look, you know, they just want to get on somewhere, or they want to pick up the phone. They just want to get an answer straight away. And I guess I can flesh out more on the initial like form when they come in. It's like finding out more details about them. But, you know, in all of the time that I've been doing bookkeeping, the questions at small business level that I receive have a commonality, and it's usually around, I don't know what to do with this transaction, or I don't know how to use this piece of software. So the education portal is a whole stack of videos of me actually having recorded it in Xero in different, you know, situations. So if they can't find the answer there and they just want to, you know, send an email, then that's the option is to send the question in.
Just because we're nearly out of time, Melissa, did you maybe have one question for the judges before we finish up?
Yeah, I guess it's obviously only for the people that that think that there's value in the product. I don't know how to integrate it in terms of cost to a firm, whether or not we like that sort of modeling it off Xero. Do I give you a discount and you take the commission on the subscription, or do you buy the subscription outright and, you know, use that as a value add on your proposition to the client?
Well, very good question. I think the price point is going to be critical on this from our side, because the software account support is very, very low, low value in what we can charge. So I'd probably want an all-in that we could make money off it on scale rather than anything else. But considering something I'm looking at in the UK, I think it'd be good for me and you to have a chat off after this.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we are a little bit over time, so I might actually wrap it there if I can. So judges, please get your votes in, and we will move over to Electra, if you're happy to share your screen. Thank you very much, Melissa. Just remember, you're on mute. Yep, good. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Electra, and I'm presenting Electrafi, which is bridging the crypto gap between SMEs and accountants alike.
Nothing's shared at the moment, though, so just double checking.
Sorry.
You're right. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. But I have. Okay.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Electra, and I'm presenting Electrafi. So the first big problem, I think, as an accountant, I think that accountants can solve some of the world's biggest problems with Bitcoin and blockchain. I've been studying it for years, and I think the first big problem to solve is bridging the gap of understanding around crypto between SMEs and accountants. So we're looking into the real business of crypto and blockchain beyond trading. Okay, so my background, I got my first clients who were using Bitcoin to pay people internationally in 2014, and I had to figure out how to put it on the balance sheet. That was really bizarre. And there was no real guidance, only tidbits of guidance from the ATO on tax. Over time, I've been learning more and more, using it myself, and working with other accountants who use it, studying it, teaching it. I formed a knowledge group in 2021 for accountants on chain who are also trying to solve problems with accounting for clients with digital assets. And I realized this is going to be huge. It's going to affect us all, and I can't be the accountant for all of them. So, but the accountants are so busy, they're not going to be able to do this unless we help them. So maybe I could make a greater impact for the blockchain industry by supporting the accounting practices. So July 23, I decided to pivot my accounting practice to this new model. So ultimately, our target market are accountants, small, medium practice, not the big end of town, and also small to medium-sized enterprises, so like with like. First, we build a minimum viable community. So that's what we do to create a network effect. And so I've been trying to link the blockchain industry with accounting and just really exploring, sharing knowledge, drawing knowledge out of others and trying to find where the problems are that can be solved. Okay, something typical I've come across as blockchain startups, businesses using crypto, not being able to find accountants. Now, they're prepared to deal with you if you've got a tax return, but once you have to do a lot more, you have to get into the accounting system, the governance, processes. If you're not a crypto user yourself as an accountant, it's very hard to understand the flow of value and the requirements, the regulations, accounting standards, tax. It's not quite clear. When it's clarified, game on. But for now, we've got to be quite confident and have support. And so many accountants just can't deal with it. They turn them away. Bitcoin blockchain industry does not understand. But these startups, this is the next wave of the internet. This is like 20 years ago, right? All over again. They could be turning away the next biggest companies. But what if we made the crypto clients accountant ready, got their stuff together so that accountants could figure it out and work with them, and made the accountant crypto ready as well at the same time? So the first problem is that I see that SME businesses adopting crypto, they're not being taken seriously by accountants, or they're underserved, okay? Accountants don't have time to learn crypto and blockchain in business. You have to use it yourself, really, to understand. It's like, you know, when we were taking on internet clients, internet businesses, we had to do some internet banking ourselves to understand what was going on there. It's similar in Web3. And accountants don't really want a niche. They've got clients that you know, that the industries that they're serving that are adopting crypto or will be. And yeah, they don't want to lose their usual business to crypto tax specialists. That could happen. And will those be the best accountants? No, they might not be the trusted advisors for those clients. Okay, solution one, I think a concierge solution, a co-opetition model. I get SMEs to keep their trusted advisors who can learn crypto in real life with their accountants while the accountants are earning. So earn and learn, value for value. The SME's business model, I worked that out. The tax and accounting processes and systems are made accountant ready with training services scoped for the client, for the accountant, and support to the accountant to take them on to provide ongoing services. The local market, Australia is actually leading the global crypto adoption rate, believe it or not, ahead of the US and Brazil. And yeah, there are a lot of consumers, just regular people using it, but those users also have small businesses. I haven't sized this market, but I do think it's going to affect us all in different ways, depending on which industries we deal with. Globally, well, it's just the future of finance. Stable coins, crypto, PayPal, oh, they're all using it. It's something we just need to become familiar with. So I think it's going to be big. We're just not seeing it yet, perhaps. Who are our competitors with such a concierge model? Well, the crypto tax accounting specialist firms, they very much focus on tax because there's not much known about the accounting, although it can be done. There's specialist software for it. Indirect competitors, probably the big end of town, sucking up our clients. The idea of Web3 and blockchain is that value can be taken away from centralized into the fringes. So small business accountants could have a lot of opportunity here. The big end of town, they're educating their staff on blockchain. They're getting into it, and I think we need to figure out how to keep up with our clients. And our advantage is by being open source and accessible, there is an opportunity for every accountant to learn and earn with their clients. We are the co-opetition of the industry. Accountants will want to work with us because we will help them keep their clients. SMEs will come to us and we will match them with an accountant who we've validated as, you know, this is the thing. I mean, businesses keep approaching me saying, I want an accountant who uses crypto. And I said, well, I had to have my first client who used Bitcoin, and I learned with them. And if I had someone like me helping them, I would have been onto it. I know what to do.
Just over by a little bit, Electra, so if you can wrap up quickly, that'd be awesome.
Oh, okay. So it's a service model at the moment. There will be some membership NFTs being developed with my work with Bitcoin Startup Lab. A future product is a know-how NFT. So this is something that will be developed. Knowledge can be, intellectual property can be minted as an NFT to become monetized. Yep, look, we're just working it at the moment, and
thank you.
That's it. Wow, 5
Awesome.
minutes went fast. Any questions?
It does. Yeah, over to the judges. Thanks, guys.
So Electra, hi. Is
Hi.
this an education piece or a tech piece? Like, where do you think you're fitting here?
It's at the moment, it's a service model. Okay.
Right.
And
So
I'm
you
approached
deliver this
by,
service and educate the accountant so that then they can do it.
yeah, well, basically with the client's affairs. You can't learn everything, but you can become an expert with one use case at a time. And that's relevant. You're not going to waste all your time learning everything, but if you can learn digital assets with a client whose affairs you're familiar with or can become familiar with without it being too much of an overhead, then you'll be confident for the next ones. And so a fully scoped service model is provided to the accountant. I do the scoping, I set up the client's systems, strategies, and then over to the accountant to carry on with.
Got it. It's very
But there is a product in the.
It sounds like you're giving all this knowledge away for free.
Oh, no. It's not, I don't have quite, there is a consulting fee, but the idea is that other accountants could become part of this network, and then there is a digital product that I don't have time to get into. Yeah.
Electra, is this more for businesses that are transacting in crypto, or is it more the individuals who just have a whole stash of various currencies?
Businesses.
Okay.
So Deloitte and PayPal did a survey last year that expected by 2025, 85% of merchants in the US would be adopting crypto in their business. So, you know, once it's the business adoption is inevitable, but it won't just be using crypto necessarily as a means of exchange. It's to do business on the internet of blockchain. You need cryptographic units of currency. It is the money, the value of the new internet. Normal money doesn't work in there. So as people sort of move into those blockchain-based business models, they will be using crypto, and it needs to be accounted for differently using different systems.
Any final question from the judges before we go to Electra's questions? If not, Electra, did you want to jump over and ask your questions to audience
sure.
and judges? Awesome, go for it.
Okay, this is dense, but just firstly, have any accountants actually surveyed their clients for crypto business adoption or an interest in it in their clients' industries?
No.
No.
Okay, and do you have an adoption strategy in place for crypto-related assets in your firm as users yourself, or for dealing with?
Yes, we shy away from it from our firm completely. It's so volatile.
May I ask why?
Why is it volatile, or why do we shy away from it?
Oh, you shy away from it because it's volatile as an investment?
Well, as a currency, yeah. I mean, I don't know if Bitcoin, well, there's two different things. Is it an investment or is it currency? And I think that's where the whole volatility comes in at the moment. I'm absolutely no crypto expert, and we shy away from it because of the risk factor around that. And at the end of the day, we have to pay people in fiat currency. And if we're holding Bitcoin that drops 20% one day, we're not going to say to them, hey, we'll just give you the same Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, or
Okay.
you know, from our own.
I might not have clarified the question. Sorry. So I mean, really, crypto-related assets in your firm, I guess, with users who are not necessarily investors, but might be using it in different ways.
So
some accountants are using it themselves, but yeah.
So we are aware some of our client base will have crypto. It's included in our, when we do our personal tax queries. Business wise, virtually no businesses that I'm unaware of any business that we work with that has any proper interaction with crypto over in the UK.
Okay. And have any of the individuals do they run businesses, and have they been surveyed for an interest in how crypto is being and blockchain technologies are being used in their industries?
We've done no surveys.
Yeah, that's kind of where I feel I need to kind of start. And if so, do you think I should survey through accountants? Do you think they'd be interested to do a survey with me?
Just from my side, Electra, like I have a real interest in crypto in terms of the technology itself, but at the moment, and I may not understand exactly what the movements are in the space, but I feel like it's just so speculative, and most use cases we see for it are people who are investing, or sorry, inverted commas, investing or gambling in order to try and make money from it. I think there's obviously, I agree with you, I think there's huge potential for the technology. We probably all agree longer term when it's properly regulated and has value for the actual technology itself, and not just its fluctuation in pricing and people making money from that. And at that point, I think we'll all be, well, I would certainly be significantly more interested in crypto, and therefore like, you know, your education piece and the product. So I think that's part of the concern here, which is that's nothing necessarily against the product or the service. It's more just, how do you get accountants interested and excited about an area that we all feel a little bit tentative about, because it's seen very much as a speculative kind of money-making area at the moment.
And I think that's unfortunate that it's kind of misunderstood. That's true, we are a bit early, but it will happen quickly when it does, when the regulations are clear. And my concern, I guess, is that it'll hit us too fast. So getting in early might be a good strategy, but it's a little hard to sell at the moment. I agree. What I've seen, not everyone has seen. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, Electra,
Thank
for pitching. Thanks, guys, for your questions. If anyone has any further thoughts they want to add, just chuck it in the chat. I'm sure Electra will keep an eye on that over the next few minutes. So next up, we have Erin. Erin, are you happy to share your screen and begin your pitch? Erin, are you with us? I don't see Erin here anymore, so I'm not sure if she's dropped out or something along those lines, but I know she is here. There you are. Sorry, Erin. Oh, good. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just afraid I will get kicked out very, very quickly because the library is shutting at 7:40.
All right, no worries. Speed through. You're right.
Yeah. So window. Let me just find the window. Hold on. It's a bit strange. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Go for it, sorry.
Okay, right. Hello, everyone. I'm Erin, and here is Chat Accountant. So Chat Accountant wants to be accountant's best friend. At the moment, it focuses on learning patterns in financial context. So you feed it with a pattern you want, and then the raw data from any kind of accounting software, and or even from another accountant, and then you feed it to it, and then it will return what you want, basically the pattern that you want. So let me give you an example. So recently, I just finished preparing a consolidated financial statement of 6 entities for statutory purpose. And I did a bit of analysis on the time that I spent on 3 different types of tasks. So 50% of the time was spent on data preparation. As you know, there has been a lot of mapping, a lot of data cleansing and consolidation. So transforming it into the correct format. And 35% of the time has been spent on report compilation. So when I said report compilation, it doesn't just mean export from zero into Word document. It means it also includes the producing the workbook behind the headline numbers. And 15% of the time was spent on review and tweaking the financial statements. So much less than I would like it to be. So what do accountants use these days to prepare financial statements? I guess most of you would have some answers. So 0 plus Excel, 0 plus Power BI plus Excel plus Word, NetSuite plus Excel plus Word, etc., etc. And in this case, the example I gave to, I used the 0 plus Spotlight plus Excel plus Word. So we may all have used a different accounting software, but we never abandon our old friend, Excel and Word. Why? I would like to hold the thought on that one. And also I produced the cost of 0 Spotlight Excel. I mean, Excel is free mostly. And then the time that I spent on producing the consolidated financial statements in this case. Can we save some time in producing financial statements? And how can we do it? So let's say we would like to reduce the 35% on report compilation. So I've got 3 different propositions. So say can we teach some junior accountant to do this? The answer, of course, is yes. But in the long run, are they going to get bored in doing this, the things that we don't want to do? Also, can we teach 0 to do the report, to create the report that we want? I guess the answer is yes, to a certain extent, but not so freely, because that is why we always want to use Excel, and we never give up on Excel. How about we teach a machine to create the first draft for us? Continue with the example that I gave to you. Here's a trial balance, and here is last year's financial statement as a pattern. And the trial balance is a raw input from MYOB, say. And it starts to learn and process the information, and then it will produce the financial statements for us. And even better, it produces the breakdown of the numbers behind the headline numbers, related party transactions, for example. And finally, this is a sneak peek of the proposed solution, what it looks like so far. Here's my completion of the pitch. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Erin. Do we have any questions or anything from the judges? Any comments? Obviously, share it in the chat as well, guys. Go for it.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Erin, how you doing? Alistair here from London, UK. Can you just clarify me what is the actual problem that you're trying to solve here? Because I know you talked about, hey, there's a lot of data compilation, there's a bit of report there, and you talked about a lot of different general ledgers through to Word. What is the actual problem that you're trying to solve that doesn't exist at the moment?
The actual problem is the kind of data that we produced from, it gets generated from all the accounting software. It all needs to get converted or transformed manually into the kind of format that we want it to be. Because if there are 10 accountants that want to produce a financial statement, they may all have different kind of preference of the data, of the kind of format, the work paper that they want to produce. So this is basically taking a template, but hasn't been completed. And then it learns about the pattern, it learns about the template, and then it will transform whatever the original data looks like and into the kind of format that you want it to be.
So is this consolidated management reporting for the board, for the management team, or is this annual statutory reporting? What is your
annual statutory reporting? In this case, it's annual statutory reporting.
Okay, for consolidated accounts.
Sorry, say that again.
For consolidated accounts, specifically for
consolidated accounts. Okay. Yes, that's right. For consolidated.
Right. Okay. Cool. Maybe someone else wants to jump in. I don't know if you've come across other solutions that do this type of thing before, or not. But there are a few similar. Well, sorry, maybe not similar, but there are a few things that get to the end product. So that's kind of why I was trying to labor on what is the actual pain point here that you're trying to solve.
Yeah. So I think due to the kind of example, it probably doesn't resonate with everyone here because we all use Xero. We're all so used to Excel. But in this case, I use the Spotlight. But even Spotlight, they specialize in consolidating accounts. But even that, I need to do a lot of work on Excel to transform that into the kind of format that I wanted. So it's not end product. No matter what accounting software we use, we always have to go back to Excel to do a little bit transformation, a little bit modification into the final format or structure that we want.
Okay, Erin, I'll just jump in here. So definitely over in the UK, we've got for accounting firms, end of year accounts platforms such as Iris, CCH that we put a Trabant in. And say it's we're doing a consolidation, we put in say 6 Trabances from different entities, and then it will consolidate that down into a single set of accounts, all inside the accounts package. We don't need to use Excel or Word. Admittedly, we have to put journals in, so the calculations identifying what needs to be done, what needs to be eliminated, we need to still do. So if your system's doing work in that side, it's great. We don't have we don't need to use a Spotlight. That'd be from our side, we'd be looking at that on a monthly or quarterly basis. We've got like specific software for end of year accounts process. And maybe that's where, at least from my side, I'm kind of missing the need, at least from the end of year accounts process perspective.
Yeah. So this is it. Sorry.
Hi, Erin. Sorry, I know you want to answer Ryan's question, but I've got a kind of a question that's linked to that, which is, basically, how much research have you done on this? Because this concept of producing consolidated accounts accounts in Word for a start just hasn't happened in the UK for 10 years unless we're really desperate. And yes, I would agree that we probably do use Excel for consolidation purposes, but it's normally around sort of complex calculations or some of the some of the supporting working papers, but it's not for the production of those for consolidated accounts, because we do that in the account software, the accounts production software that we have available to us. And there's tons of accounts production software that will do that for you, from Silverfin to Consolidator to lots of other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe I combine those two questions. First of all, thank you for asking, giving examples of the software that is used. And I know I have used the CCH one, and also back to the accounting days in the practice, and they also have got the specialized financial statements accounting software, not necessarily Xero, but there is more powerful kind of statutory financial statements accounting software. But the key here is I use the financial statements as example, but my key point is no matter what accounting software we're using, there's always a moment that we need to transform the data into the kind of format that we want. Doesn't really matter if it is financial statement, the end purpose, it might be producing the work paper for the audit purpose or answering some queries from FPA, different scenarios. So when we do that, we just kind of wish some junior or assistant accountant to produce that first draft so that we don't have to get into the nitty-gritty. We will review on the high level, and then that is a kind of experience I want to get from this software. So say, for example, if it can understand and follow the pattern or learn the pattern from example you feed into this machine, and then it will produce the first draft using financial statements as example. So say if they can understand the language and then and within that financial context and follow the pattern and learn it, and it's like you train the junior accountant to do this work. And this is a first draft, whatever first draft it is. It can be analysis report, it can be pipeline report, it can be anything. So not necessarily financial statements. So it is just like, I want to see if the experiment can actually get me from A to B. So I'm using example of financial statements as something that we all understand, because that is probably the most common kind of scenario for accountants.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron. So, I mean, I appreciate desire to kind of want to provide a little bit of feedback back, but did you have any questions for the judges or the audience to learn from?
Yes, I think I've got one question actually.
Yeah.
So where do you think accountants should spend most of the time on?
In terms of everything, or in terms of statutory account prep, or?
No, in terms of everything, like the type of task or the kind of work. Where do you think the future accountants, let's say the next generation accountants, where do you think they should spend their time on, like percentage-wise on this and that? Should they spend on giving advice, or should they spend on data analytics? Should they spend on getting some value-added kind of analysis? What is your view on how should they spend their time? Where should they spend most of their time?
Aaron, that's a really difficult question to answer, given the spectrum and depth that different accountants specialize in across the entire profession. Hugely different. You have some people that are tax professionals, you have some people that are audit professionals, you have some people that are general practitioners, some that are consultants, and within that you can then even go deeper and deeper and deeper. So if I sat here in our business, I'd say actually where I want my team to spend time is just being a storyteller, right? I want them to tell the story of what's going on in the business and help our clients reach their goals, right? And so that's much more strategic advice. But if I was to say that to someone that was a tax specialist, they would tell me where to go, because actually they want to do something very, very different with their clients. So I think it's a very hard thing to answer, just given the spectrum of diversity in the world of accounting. But maybe someone else can give their view as well, but that's my view.
I agree on that. I also think, Erin, it's there's a difference between kind of where do accountants currently stereotypically spend most of their time, or what people stereotypically think accountants should spend most of their time on, and where maybe we should be redirecting some of our time if we're to do a better job of what we do. So I think things like storytelling, like empathy, connecting more with our clients is something that we probably don't do enough of. And so kind of we're always looking for tools to create the space to do more of that. But in terms of like, what do we specifically spend most of our time doing, depends what kind of accountant we are. I personally am a big sort of like believer in like, just get the quality of data right, and then everything else becomes quite seamless. So we should be sort of over-indexing on that. But yeah, there's massive differential here based on what particular focus you have.
Cool. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Alistair. And thanks, Aaron, for pitching. That wraps up the pitches. So appreciate that, Aaron. I'll take away your spotlight, and thank you very much. So I suppose without further ado, it's time to basically get the audience votes. I will pop up a poll wherever my little Zoom toolbar is. So I'll launch that for those of you in attendance. So just chuck in basically which founder and idea you think deserves to win the award. It's a People's Choice Award. So chuck, hopefully you can all see that pop up on your screen in Zoom. Can people see that? I'm hoping. Can anybody see that? Is anybody here?
Yeah, I can see the poll.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Okay, I think we've got a few people who are away from their desks or something, because I haven't had a vote yet. Nick, can you see it? Ariana, can you guys see it?
I don't have it.
You don't have the poll?
It says 0 of 1 answered. So can everyone see it? I can see it.
I've already voted in it, and then it disappeared.
Oh, am I supposed to vote?
No, you don't need to vote.
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. It says no one's voted, so I'm not sure if there's an issue there. So if you guys are voting and it's not coming through or you're not getting it, then maybe I'll take a vote separately.
I think we did get it. I got it, Jack. So you're obviously not just seeing it on your side.
All right. Well, maybe I'll pop it in the chat after the event and get the votes in Slack, because I don't think we're getting anything. I'm not getting anything through on my end. So other than that, though, I do have a winner to announce. So I'll end the poll. And basically, the People's Choice Award is to be decided. I'll get back to you guys on the winner of that one. But congratulations, James. A winner by a few links there. So great pitch, well described, problem, solution, competitive advantage, and market opportunity, which was the judging criteria. So thanks for listening to that. And yeah, thanks for the pitch.
Thanks very much.
No worries. Hopefully when you've got a website up, you can chuck the badge on there and that can act as a little bit of extra credibility. So thanks guys for coming. Appreciate this was very much a bit of an experiment. So thank you to everyone who hung around and pitched, and judges for voting, and everyone in the audience who listened and tuned in. Really appreciate it. And hopefully, in future, as you guys develop these tools, if you get a little bit further down the line and you want to work with this group of accountants, you can always speak to us, and that's exactly what we do at the Early Adopters Hub. So thanks again for your time. Enjoy yourselves and have a good night. Have a great day if you're over in the UK, and I'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, everyone.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.